Bing, we're live. It's Sam and Zivko. It is Monday. EuroAsia Scrum. That's the word that we call for it. The word we use for it. On my side, the key things are that the MOOC goes live today. So there's a few bits of station keeping that need to be done. I've got a list of them. I've started on it. I think it should be, fingers crossed, under control. Although for website 1, I noticed the site was down, and we had a memory quota exceeded error in the system, which will probably need investigation. Yeah, gonna have to spend some time looking at that. We have, we've stopped the spam signups problem that we were having, and yeah, which is very pleasing. So that's, I mean, that may be partly why we're exceeding the quota, is suddenly we've got, yeah, I'm not sure, like some of the tables will got like extra 1,000 spam users in there, so we may need to clean those out. Yeah, and then we've got Autograders meeting is going to be Friday this week, and local support. Yeah, I was just reviewing the various bits and pieces that people have been doing over the weekend, looking good, sure but steady progress. Yeah, just on standby to support people on that project. Yeah, and the client meeting on Thursday, I expect. How are things with you, Zivko?
I paired with Jan on Friday, and we managed to get markers on the map.
Wonderful.
But we're kind of stuck because we got the info windows working on the small project. It's kind of not working in the local support. If you have a moment,
absolutely,
yeah, it will be great if you could have a look.
Yes, absolutely. I could do that right now. Any other things on your mind at the moment?
No, that's all. It's on my list to start a cucumber discussion as well.
Okay, cool.
I haven't done it yet. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, well, I've got some time. We've got 10 minutes now. Why don't we just dive straight in to have a look at your? Do you want to share your screen and we'll have a look at this issue?
So this is okay. The markers are a little bit.
Ooh, looking good though. It's exciting to see them there.
Yeah. So red are the ones that are from local support, and the blue are from the Duet API.
Wonderful.
For some reason, when I click, it's not showing.
Okay.
But this is the small project, and when I managed to get the small pop-up window.
Right. Okay.
With text in it.
Yes.
So I've basically copied and pasted. So let me show you. This is the code.
Before, forgive me, can I stop you there?
Yep.
Just for a second, is that all right? Forgive me. If you just want to go back to the previous tab where you had the mixed, like you were in a Do It Rails tab. To the immediate left, you've got the Harrow Community Network tab in your browser.
Yeah.
Just go back to the first one that you showed me. One of the things, can you just open the developer console here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so we've got the console. So can we just, like, if you click on one of the red things in the there, and that comes up, that's fine. Now click on one of the blue ones. And right, okay. So yeah, so I just wanted to double check that we're not getting any error. So, and it seems like if you just reload the page for me.
Yep.
And maybe you've, and forgive me, maybe you double checked.
Oh, no, don't worry. Everything needs to be double checked, triple checked, so no worries. Yeah.
Okay. So we're not getting any failures in terms of loading of JavaScript files. We're not getting any failures when the individual elements. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Yeah. So now do carry on to tell me the other things.
So the code is pretty much the same. This is the trails. And we've added marker info window test when we were organizing building the markers. So this code is pretty much copy paste in the local support one.
Sure.
So in here we have it again as well.
Okay.
Info window test. But what worries me?
Okay. At the moment you're talking, and I'm not seeing code. Have you got code on a different screen, or there's code that you're trying to show me, or?
Is it? I'm showing code.
At the moment, you're just showing me the browser. So maybe have you shared just the browser, not your full desktop?
I am on Atom now. Looks like it. I will reload.
Yeah, probably the thing to do is you don't have to reload. You just need to restart the screen share. So if you, yeah, exactly, yeah, and then so share the full desktop rather than the individual.
So do you see code now?
I do, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would. I mean, have you now? You've shared the individual atom editor now, have you? Oh no, the desktop. I can see the taskbar at the bottom. Okay, yeah. So sorry. Start again with the code. Yeah. So you're saying this is
the code is the same what we have in the small project in local support.
sure.
What I don't understand is in the Google Maps, what's different is this handler built here. It got that markdown datum that I don't know where we built it. What's this? But this is all the same. So we have this here. Okay, this is missing, but this here is exactly as this one here. And duet markers, we're using a GON gem, a gem called GON, which converts information into a hash. And we can access it anywhere. And that's all basically.
Okay. So I'm just let me have a look. So the controller that you're working through here is the volunteer ops controller. I'm just looking. Can you just go back to you? I think you started there in the volunteer ops controller. At the moment, you're showing me CoffeeScript. I'm just going to go back to the.
Okay, I'm in the volunteer ops control. Okay, strange.
Yeah. No. I saw the CoffeeScript. I just wanted to go back to the volunteer ops controller.
Yeah, I'm in the volunteer ops controller now.
Yeah, you are now. I'm also just bringing up my own one there. So you've got a. I guess, have you adjusted the index section? Like, can you just scroll up because I can't see the. Yeah, so you're in the index there. So the first 3 lines are the existing things, and then you've got, all of your other stuff there coming through here. You're getting your orgs, your JS items, and then you're building a hash here, and then maybe you could reduce the text size ever so slightly. It's very readable at the moment, but and scroll down a bit. Yeah, okay. And then you're setting gon.orgs to be equal to a hash there, and scroll up. And where is the gon variable?
No, gon is a gem.
No, I understand.
And we can access that, and I'm accessing that in the Google markers because they needed to be in a hash format. And we couldn't pass, we had problems passing the hash from one to the other to get to the coffee script. So just use gon.org. Now we can access this gon.org anywhere.
So you've required the gon gem, and so now gon is something that can just be accessed in the top namespace.
Yeah, it could be accessed anywhere. Yeah.
Yes, that's a little bit worrying in terms of its use, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts immediately on this. I mean, I don't immediately see the source of the problem. What I do see is that what you've got here in the volunteer ops controller is you've got a lot of code compared to the how the index was now, and of course, as you know, that's not ideal. And I also wonder if that's kind of interfering with your. Well, I would be worried here with this much code in the controller, not just that this is something that needs to be cleaned up later on, that it might be in making it difficult to follow what's going on. I don't know, maybe for you at the moment, just having it all there in one place is easier to manage, in which case, fair enough. But I'm just looking here. I mean, I guess what the existing volunteer ops controller index had is that this build markers to an extent is, well, I assume you on line 8 you've got build map markers there, and I assume you've looked at that method and how that's set up. But so you're now, instead of using the map marker JSON build, you're using the gmap for Rails build markers.
Yeah.
Which is an intentional choice on your part?
Yeah, because we couldn't get this to work, and I think that's a built-in method for the gmap for Rails.
No. Build map markers is defined further down in the page. Look at.
No. We couldn't get it to build as markers, so we used from in the gem.
Okay, yeah, right. So you've switched to doing this other thing. Yes. So I think what we've got now is we've got a situation where we've got markers being built in 2 different sorts of ways in the same page, and they may be interfering with each other. Yeah. So I mean, I mean, in terms of, I certainly can't immediately solve this and say, oh yes, you need a comma there, or you need this, that, and the other there. I mean, I guess the two approaches that I would be taking here are, one is go back to the build map markers method, and kind of presumably when trying to use that, you got stuck with something. I mean, you don't have to tell me what it is now, but I would be tempted to look at that again, because I'm worried that the two different approaches are interfering with each other. The other thing that I would be doing is I'd be opening the JavaScript debugging framework. That's, I mean, I guess I haven't got time to get into the details of these two parts, but those are like, when I'm thinking like, how will I approach this problem now? There's those are the two things that I would do. I would go back to what was the problem with the build map markers, and I would share that with the community of local support, with me. Let's have another look at whether we can't fix the problem that way.
One of the problem was because we've got organizations getting from the database.
Yes.
And when we do org.lat,
yeah,
there's the latitude. Whereas when we put information from Duet API, we access the latitude like this.
Sure. But we could easily transform that thing into we could use a struct to turn that into something where it's, referenced in the same way. That in principle, we can build an object that we can reference it in that fashion. That's not hard. Or even in the first instance, like, I don't know if I just share my screen. Let's have a look over here. So this is the build map markers thing. Like, it's bigger. Oh no, I have to do it like this, don't I? Can you see this? Okay.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Is that so? If that's how org was coming in, I could build a struct to deal with it, but I could immediately, a way to immediately get around that would be to do, like this, and then adjust this like this, right? So anyway, I mean, that's one approach. Yeah, I'm just going to enumerate the approaches. That approach, and then the other one, which
but wouldn't that break?
Well, hold on. But I mean, just for the time constraint, I don't know that we've necessarily got time to go into the. Maybe we can get into that into the second. I just want to make sure that we've enumerated the two things. So this is one approach, and maybe it's not the right approach. The other approach, if you can just go back to your browser.
Yeah.
And so in here, and so if you click on sources and maybe you know this already and you've already considered it and you're throwing it out or whatever, but if you click on, I think, assets there, you see where it says under localhost 3000 assets.
Yeah.
And then there's a process of like trying to find, which is the related. I mean, this is part of the ones I'm not so keen on CoffeeScript, but it's trying to find the relevant, because if you like possibly an application.js, I mean, scroll down so you can see the names of all the files down there. Like there's all the different bits and pieces. I think it hasn't been compiled. Like we would need to, yeah. So I mean, you're using Gmap for Rails. Like, I mean, like what we can do in principle is we can. I mean, I think we don't have time to look at it. We can sort of, and this is potentially complicated, but one can drill down. Like if you click on Google_map.js there, Google Map, there we go. Like you've got the whole of this, and in principle you can set breakpoints in there to try and check why is one thing working or not working, or does some of that code look familiar? You've got like marker datum there and so on. So
that looks familiar.
Yeah, so I mean there's a process of, you can be drilling down and kind of investigating what goes where. Show me the CoffeeScript that you wrote. Just which file is that? Just go back to your
it's Google Maps. So here it is. These ones.
Yeah, I mean you've also got a Google Maps subdirectory in that. Yes, so I mean you can. I mean if you go back to your editor just briefly. So if you open Google Map. Okay, but so yeah, your Google Map, Google_map.js.coffee. That's exactly the file that has your stuff. Yeah. Okay. So go back to your browser then, and there you see. So I mean, what you can be doing is if you click on a line number there, like 36, yeah, and then you refresh the browser. Basically, it should, if that code gets run, it should pause the browser at that point in time, which it does, and then here, for example, you can type in markers in the console. And forgive me if you knew this already, and this was something you've already looked at, but you can effectively inspect the data and so on, and just sort of kind of get in there and see what's happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
But so if we go back then, so anyway, those two, I guess the two approaches I've been describing make sense as two ways of approaching the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we just go back briefly to the, we go back to my screen. You were just going to tell me something about, so this is the other approach, which is like just trying to work with the system that's in, because I mean, well, I'd say my fear here is that, you know, we could be digging down into the JavaScript through the browser, which, you know, is a valuable thing to do, and I think that will help. Have you not spent much time debugging JavaScript in the browser using that mechanism?
No.
So I think that would be a great experience, you know, and finding out how that works and working out how it's all going on and so on, and even this is just a great, you know, thing to be practicing doing. My fear slightly is that the two approaches, you know, using the one we've got in the system and the GMAP for Rails ones may be somewhat incompatible. And, you know, it might take quite a long time to confirm that. And maybe this approach would be faster. But you were saying, like with me just saying this, you were about to describe, and forgive me for cutting you off before, but you were about to say why you thought there would be another problem here.
If we access the latitude like that, wouldn't this break when we were building the build info maps, when we're pulling information from the database? Or
no, because look,
you want
keeping the existing, just this is like, you know, quick and dirty, keeping the existing method that does this, just to see if, you know, can we quickly get it working with coming from a hash. Now it would be much cleaner to transform the hash into a struct or something where we can refer to elements of it like this. But you're probably not so familiar with structs and the approaches to do that. So, you know, this might be a quicker way to determine, you know, to dig into, like, it, forgive me if I'm wrong, are you saying that you were kind of like, you got to here and you were like, oh, you know, the data's in the wrong format, so we can't really use it. And that was the sticking point? That was why you couldn't get this approach to work?
No, we transformed the hash like that. And then I can't remember what the problem was. And we decided, let's get it working with the building markers from the Google
GMAP for Rails. Yeah.
And then let's worry about how to make it consistent later.
Okay.
We just need to get it on the map so we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sounds like a good, you know, that sounds like a good approach. And what you've been able to demonstrate is that on the Spike you can get it and it works, right? So
yeah.
And so we know that, and forgive me, this is, I'm just for the recording, but I think you know this already. I mean, that's the exciting thing about this approach is that now, with it not working on local support, we know that that's not because it's not because it cannot work, or that the kind of like the fundamental setup is not working, because we know that it fundamentally works somewhere else. So we can say, right, there's some problem in the way it's set up on local support, or maybe some of the other things that are part of local support are interfering with it, like the other way in which we're doing, this approach to build map markers, because all of these things are like inserting bits of JavaScript into the browser, and they're potentially competing with each other and turning each other off and doing silly things. So okay. So what I think, you know, obviously entirely up to you which of those two approaches are used, or, you know, a different approach. Like those were just the two that came to mind to me. My intuition would be to try and do this, and at least, because I'm really interested now, like, what was the problem that you actually got to there? And I think, you know, my general advice is I would say, if you can, I would love to know more about that problem. And it may be that the problem is insoluble, you know, and it's just like, yes, we have to switch everything over to GMAP for Rails, and who knows. But I would definitely be very interested to know more about why this approach wasn't working.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's particularly because this approach does work for the other things, and so we're kind of in a little bit of a bind of, if we can't combine the two approaches, then we have to switch all to one or all to the other, and that's a big lot of work. So knowing why this might not work with the do it, that's an important thing in terms of making judgments about which way to go in the future.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
All right. So sorry, that was probably far more explanation than you cared to hear at this time in the morning.
No, it was great. As I say, I like your brainstorming. So thank you. I will discuss with Jan.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Maybe if not today, I don't Tuesday or Wednesday.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll feel free to discuss with Jana actually in the group chat, or of course just the two of you if you want. But so she may remember more details of exactly that, Errol, or yeah, cool. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
You
See
too.
you later.
All right. Bye for now. Take care.